What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about a news story in a way, but somebody who spotted something very interesting that suggests that Sony may have acquired Housemarque. And, even the comments to this post do say, well, maybe it's not necessarily them acquiring them, just very much them bringing them under their umbrella, which they've already technically done, right? Housemarque has for the most part, not exclusively, but for the most part been, with Sony. Okay, so I want to read over what this article says, talk about, if they actually did, I guess, secretly buy them, and maybe when they would announce something like that. So let's go into it. To everyone who speaks Portuguese, which I personally don't, I highly recommend to watch this interview with the head of Diorama, I'm going to hope that's how you say it, studio, the Brazilian studio who worked on Horizon Zero Dawn, Returnal, and some other games. I found particularly curious that he said he couldn't talk much about Returnal because of NDAs. Even more now that Housemarque is under Sony's umbrella, and those are in quotes. And he hinted that that studio is working on the next Naughty Dog game. He also said that many publishers are interested on their first own game, Arani, which is a game based on Brazilian indigenous native culture. Maybe Sony could be one of them. He confirmed that they are certified by Sony. Does that mean that Housemarque is first party now? So it is interesting. Now again, there's fact checking when it comes to like leaks and rumors and stuff, right? And I guess the ultimate fact checking is like if it ends up happening or not, because a lot of stuff, is just will it end up happening or will it not? In terms of like the interview, I believe what this person is saying. I believe his interpretation of the words. Again, I don't speak that language, so there's no way I could personally fact check it. But the idea of Sony acquiring Housemarque has always made sense to me. It for a while, for actually a very long time. I would say since Resogun, it's made a load of sense for Sony to acquire them. They haven't been perfect. Resogun is one of my favorite games ever. Nex Machina, I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's one of my personal favorite games of all time. One of the best top-down kind of action arcade games that have ever been made. And they've made like Matterfall. They've made some games that haven't exactly been good. But Returnal. Some people in the comments were saying like Returnal could have been their almost final test, right? Can you prove to us that, and because Sony kind of does that with their developers before they end up buying them, can you make a AAA big game for us? And I would say, look, Returnal is hard. Returnal is not for everybody. Returnal, it seemed like early reports as Returnal didn't sell all that well, but then Sony, in their own kind of investor call, they labeled Returnal as it's a successful IP. So what that means to me, it doesn't necessarily mean it sold 5, 10, 15 million units, because it absolutely didn't, maybe 5, but I think the bigger idea is that it made their money back and it made them a little bit of money. I don't think Housemarque games are ever going to be the most expensive games to produce, okay? So when they say successful or is a successful new IP, to me it means it sold well enough where it made the money back, where it was worth doing, maybe worth doing more, and it made Sony a little bit, Housemarque made Sony a little bit of money. And that's really all you could ask for, because Returnal was what Housemarque has done. Returnal has Resogun and Nex Machina. As I said, honestly, I saw that coming for like a year, and then when you actually play it, it couldn't be more true. It's got all of the Housemarque best games in it. So it's still, like, to the bone, it's still Housemarque, and I love that. So again, like, while Returnal is definitely not for everybody, and really, while any Housemarque game is not for everybody, it's still, like, it did well. It's still them. So, like, what I'm basically saying by that, by the way, is, like, I'm glad Returnal wasn't something that's just a complete 180. They've never done it before. It's entirely new, and it's like it's so different from all the other stuff. Even if it's good, it's so different from all the other stuff that they did that it's now like, oh, well, you have a track record with this new thing that's really successful, so keep going that way. You'll never do the old stuff again. And while that's probably true, like, they'll probably never do top-down stuff again, I'm fine if they give us just game after, not like Returnal 2, 3, 4, 5, but if they gave us games like that, where it's still the best of them, just in different ways, I'd be completely fine with that. And then the idea of acquiring them, we've talked about it. This is kind of, if you're Sony, this is what you have to do, right? You have to make smart deals with picking specific games to be timed exclusive to be, we talked yesterday about the BioShock game. You can't buy those studios, but you could work a deal for specific games. And, Microsoft can buy studios. Sony depends on the size, but for the most part really couldn't, right? They have to be a little bit more smart. And the other thing Sony could do, or can do and has done, is focus on the smaller teams, well, I don't even know, like the homegrown kind of stuff, and buy them and grow them up from there, kind of naturally, right? That's when Naughty Dog was not very big when Sony bought them. Even Insomniac, it's only gotten bigger since Sony's bought it. So, you have to do it like that if you're Sony. So if they're looking out there and they're trying to make smart business, acquisitions, Housemarque, small team, not the smallest, but also it's not like Naughty Dog size. It's a smaller team. They make smaller-ish games, but like you need those games in your art. You know what I mean? This is another situation like with Days Gone, or really with any kind of love, like a game franchise or a game genre that's loved, but it's not loved by everybody. It's still important to have because it helps mold your entire portfolio, right? It's kind of a missing cog that maybe you don't even know that you need, but you do, and that's kind of what Housemarque is, right? You don't like if Microsoft bought them tomorrow, would it be the biggest loss in the world to Sony? Okay, no, not really, but they're very helpful, and I think it helps the overall, picture. So I don't know. Ultimately, again, people were saying in the comments, like, it may not be like they officially bought them. It could just be an even better, like gentleman's handshake where it's like, okay, you are for sure, like, don't go talking to Microsoft about being purchased. You are for sure, like, in our ecosystem. But, so I think other people were making a good point that, like, if you're owned by Sony, you get all their resources, and I don't know if Housemarque is, like, entitled to them right now. Like, you have Sony specific support teams that can help you, all that stuff. So I don't know, if they get that just by being a kind of a second party. Again, I think this is something they should have done 7 years ago actually 2013, so almost 8 years ago when Resogun came out. I think when Resogun came out, Sony should have just bought them. I think that would have been so easy, a lot cheaper back then than it would have been right now. But that's the way it is. So hopefully it happens, just in terms of Sony making smart business decisions. But if it doesn't happen, again, like as I've always talked about with exclusives, it's a smart move. I'm always going to, I guess in a way, support them if you want to talk about fairness, all that kind of stuff. Well, Sony's lost a lot of studios. They've closed them down over the last 5-10 years. They could use some restock. So let's see what happens with Housemarque. So let me know, guys, in the comments below, what do you think? Do you think Housemarque is kind of unofficially bought by them and maybe they're just waiting for it? Do you think that this is just maybe the translation was wrong? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. I do a brand new video on this channel every single day, and so I hope to see you guys for tomorrow's video.